The American actress, singer, and songwriter Ilda Orme knew a thing or two about being cancelled. She was cancelled more than a century before social media put the cancel button in the hands of the people. And a cancellation happened at a time when cancellation permanently ended your career. Sadly, like many an actress to follow in her footsteps, to fight back against toxic men gets one a reputation of being difficult, compounding your problems. And if you're called difficult for long enough, someone, sooner or later, is bound to brand you insane. So what can one do once branded insane? Well, if you're Ilda Orme, you seek revenge in the most public of ways, and damned be the consequences. Now, I've gotten a little off track this year. The fortnightly schedule has stretched to one episode every 2.5 weeks. So today I'm dropping something a little bit shorter. I'll be dropping a few of these on and off till we're back on a regular schedule. Sorry everyone. But this week on Tales of History and Imagination, the cancellation of Ilda Orme. Tales of History and Imagination. Our tale begins at London's Trafalgar Theatre, the year 1892. Our protagonist, the American actress Ilda Orme, has just come off a successful run in an English adaptation of a French musical comedy called The Wedding Eve. Both she and the play had gone down a treat, leading to a 5-week stateside run for the actress. Ilda returned to the Trafalgar Theatre for their next production, only to be fired without warning. At the time, she blamed an American theatrical manager named Marcus Mayer for spreading rumors about her. Not terribly long after, she made headlines again, this time for suing a fellow actor for stealing her personal papers. The judge found in her favor and ordered the papers returned, but scolded her over the content of those letters. She wrote of wishing to stab a prominent man to death. This made news headlines, prompting the theatre-going public to ask, is this woman a bit difficult? For several months, Ilda roamed from town to town across Britain, in search of a next gig, but whether down to Marcus Mayer's scuttlebutt, or the disclosure the starlet wanted to stab a man, there was nothing going anywhere. Dejected, she returned to America. Our protagonist reappears in the English press in 1897. The 4 years following her cancellation had been rotten. Ilda had found plenty of work stateside, but every time she settled into a role, she was fired without explanation. To add to her woes, her teeth were playing up terribly. She'd returned to the United Kingdom, not in the hope of getting some acting work, but to sue a British dentist for substandard work she claimed had ruined her singing voice. 2 months later, she was before the court, suing over 3 faulty crowns. Once again, she was undone by one of her letters, this time written to the dentist, thanking him for a job well done. The judge dismissed the case. At this point, some may have considered Ilda, I should add, a formerly very successful actor, perhaps a little mad. In 2025, I'd argue she was maybe just a little bit litigious. But did she have a legitimate reason to believe someone had it out for her? Well, probably yes. Now, I am going from precious few books and newspaper reports, having searched for Hilda, for Ilda, and for her birth name, Ida Jones, so apologies if the following is a little bit vague. But it appears Ilda married the son of a very rich American man in the mid-1880s. The wealthy family were from Boston, and there is a reasonable chance their surname was Dyer. The young man's millionaire parents objected bitterly to their marriage, and eventually convinced their son to divorce his wife so that he could find an appropriate suitor. Ilda characteristically fought back, suing her ex-husband for $50,000 for breach of promise and seduction. The former couple settled for $1,000, in cash terms around $31,000 today. She had also won the long-lasting enmity of her former in-laws, who carried out a decade-long campaign against her. This apparently included the in-laws' recruitment of a theatrical manager for New York's Metropolitan Opera House, Marcus Mayer, in spreading damaging rumors about her. So we pick our tale back up on 18th September 1897, near Ilda's rented lodgings, 22 Keppel Street, London. Sometime after midnight, Ilda was making her way home when a man with an American accent called out to her. The two spoke briefly before Ilda turned towards home. The man drew a pistol and shot her. Now it appears the assassin had attempted to shoot her in the chest, but Ilda having turned side on, the bullet passed clean through her right breast. The attacker fled the scene, never to be caught. Although Ilda was certain he'd been procured by a British conman who went by the name Sir Greville Temple, on behalf of Marcus Mayer and her former in-laws. A week later, a policeman called Ilda to make a statement and then arrested her. She was committed to the insane asylum at St. Giles Workhouse. The police stated they believed the attack had never happened. As far as they were concerned, Ilda had attempted to commit suicide, so she needed to be locked away. She was thrown into a padded room. Within a few weeks, her landlady threw her belongings out to make way for a new tenant. This did, of course, send Ilda into a genuine emotional breakdown. The workhouse staff, at a loss, sent her off to a dedicated asylum at Colney Hatch. It turns out this was a godsend. Colney Hatch had actual psychiatrists who examined her and came to the conclusion she suffered from no mental illnesses at all. They also found the gunshot wound was done at such an angle that it had to be inflicted by another person. But try as the doctors might, they could not convince the police to release her. From there, she was moved on to another asylum, who it appears were less strict about patients writing to loved ones. She wrote to her sister, who in turn contacted the American ambassador. She was soon freed, 7 months after she'd been shot. As one might expect by now, freed, Ilda tried to sue the Metropolitan Police for false arrest. But the lawsuit hit the skids when it was discovered her records had mysteriously vanished. Under court orders to do so, Ilda returned to the USA, where as a certified quote-unquote lunatic, nobody dared hire her. But from here, for what little it's worth, Ilda finally got some revenge. In June 1899, Ilda Orme boarded the transatlantic liner, the SS St. Paul, although she personally had no intention of returning to the United Kingdom. On board, with his latest protege, the actress Olga Neversol, was theatre manager Marcus Mayer. As Mayer attempted to enter the ship's saloon, he came face to face with Ilda. Legend states Ilda drew a horsewhip from under her dress and beat the theatrical manager mercilessly. Perhaps as many as 2,000 people looked on in horror as she laid into Mayer. Having given him a sound thrashing, she made for the gangplank, only to be stopped by a policeman. However, Mayer refused to press charges. Ilda Orme was cut free to go about her business. From here on in, the tale gets a little murky. She secured a few smaller roles at increasingly smaller theatres. She played in beer halls in Alaska, in Montana, and Scotland, before she made a play for the big time in Paris. The last mention I could find of her was as a performer in a Paris burlesque in 1908. Despite coming from a large family, who included the famed conservationist and frontiersman Charles Buffalo Jones. It appears no one even thought to write her an obituary whenever she passed. One hopes she simply changed her professional name and enjoyed a long, well-earned career from here on in.